and they wanted to do the show. It got canceled abruptly by the venue.
But at this specific concert in Kansas City, at the T-Mobile Arena, there was an elderly man in the video that is seen being attacked by a younger guy.
After NBA YoungBoy's concert in New Orleans, chaos exploded the second the lights went down. The crowd was wild. Fans flooding the streets, screaming his name, trying to get close enough to touch him. But what started as celebrations spiraled fast. Within minutes, flashing lights filled the night, and cops stormed the scene, dragging YoungBoy away in front of hundreds of witnesses. Now word's spreading that he's officially been banned from performing anywhere in Louisiana. So what really happened that night, and what comes next? Let's break it down. October 19th, 2025. The Smoothie King Center in New Orleans was beyond packed. You could feel the energy miles away. The city hadn't seen a moment like this in years. This was NBA YoungBoy's first time performing on Louisiana soil in 7 years, and fans were treating it like a homecoming for a king. Every single seat was filled, the floor was shaking, and green lights, his signature color, lit up every corner of the arena. That never broke again glow took over the building, a symbol of loyalty, pain, and resilience. The bass dropped, and thousands of voices screamed every word, every lyric like it was gospel. But this wasn't just another concert. It was a movement. After everything he'd been through, the arrests, the bans, the industry blacklisting, this night was supposed to be his victory lap. A full circle moment for the kid from Baton Rouge who turned his pain into power. Except that power came with chaos. This wasn't just another concert. This was a homecoming for one of the most streamed, most polarizing rappers alive. For the city of New Orleans, this night felt like history. NBA YoungBoy finally back on Louisiana soil, defying every ban, every headline, every rumor. But let me put you on game. This whole situation runs way deeper than just another tour stop. This New Orleans performance was part of NBA YoungBoy's massive MESA tour, short for Make America Slime Again. If you didn't know, this was a 45-date nationwide arena tour, easily one of the biggest runs of his career. It kicked off in Dallas back in September 2025 and was set to wrap up in Seattle by mid-November. Every single stop had been chaos in motion, sold-out venues, mobs of fans, and pure energy from start to finish. And we're not talking small-time production here. This was arena-level madness. We're talking Offset, Tusi, and No Cap as opening acts, lights flipping the whole arena into another dimension, pyrotechnics blasting like it's the 4th of July. Every night felt like a war zone of sound and spectacle, backed by YoungBoy's insane catalog, 26 projects deep between albums and mixtapes. His day ones didn't just sing along, they rapped every bar like scripture. But here's where things get real. The New Orleans Police Department wasn't playing around. They pulled up deep. Reports say over 400 officers were on deck, covering the French Quarter, the Central Business District, and every street around the venue. Tactical units were tucked away behind barricades, surveillance drones floated overhead tracking movement, and armored trucks were staged nearby like it was a presidential event. It wasn't just crowd control, this was full-blown tactical lockdown, and that right there tells you one thing. They weren't expecting a concert. They were preparing for a war zone. So why all that heavy police presence, you ask? Because NBA YoungBoy's tour had already been a roller coaster, full of drama, chaos, and cancellations that made headlines in every city he touched. From wild crowds shutting down traffic to unexpected brawls outside venues, the tension followed him everywhere. And when it came to his homecoming in New Orleans, the city wasn't about to let things slide out of control, not on their turf. They wanted zero problems. That's why the venue came with some of the strictest rules you've ever seen at a rap concert. A full-on no-bag policy. No purses, no backpacks, no fanny packs, no exceptions. Just you, your ticket, and your ID. The idea was to keep everything smooth and avoid giving anyone an excuse to bring the streets inside. Even NOPD Assistant Superintendent Hans Ganthier stepped out with a public warning. He told fans straight up, "Leave the guns at home." He even warned that thieves were breaking into cars to snatch weapons left behind. The message couldn't have been clearer. Come to have fun, not to start smoke. And to be fair, inside the arena, everything went off flawlessly. No fights, no interruptions, just pure energy. YoungBoy owned the stage, ripping through hit after hit from his deep catalog, songs about pain, loyalty, and survival. His delivery was raw, emotional, and authentic, the same energy that made him one of the most watched rappers on YouTube, sitting on over 15 billion views. The visuals? Next level. Dancers in military gear, LED coffins rising from the stage, pyro bursts that shook the floor. It felt like a movie, half concert, half resurrection. Every lyric hit harder live, with fans screaming word for word like they'd been waiting years to release all that emotion. By the time the lights came up around midnight, the crowd was drenched in sweat but still hyped, leaving the arena buzzing. It felt like a victory lap. The perfect night. No chaos, no controversy, or so everyone thought. But yo, here's where things really turned wild and the night went from celebration to straight chaos. It's around 1:30 a.m., Monday, October 20th, and get this. It's NBA YoungBoy's 26th birthday. You'd think he'd be laid up somewhere private, surrounded by family, popping bottles, or counting money. But nah, YoungBoy had other plans. Fresh off a sold-out show, adrenaline still pumping, he decided to hit the streets of New Orleans. No security, no VIP section, just him and about 8 of his closest people taking a spontaneous stroll through the city that made him. And not just any part of the city either. We're talking Canal Street and Bourbon Street, the two busiest, loudest, and craziest strips in the whole French Quarter. Those streets never sleep, packed with tourists, street performers, and locals wilding out till sunrise. Now picture this, one of the most famous, controversial rappers on the planet walking through that crowd, fresh off a massive homecoming concert, still wearing a black jacket, black shades, casual fit, just vibing like it's nothing. But come on, let's keep it real. The second even one fan spotted him, you already knew what time it was. Within minutes, phones were out everywhere, flashes popping, people screaming his name. "Young boy! YB! I love you, YB!" Fans sprinting across the street, some crying, some trying to touch him like he was untouchable. You could feel the energy shift, from calm to full-blown frenzy. At first, it was all love. Selfies, hugs, shout-outs, fans just happy to see him outside, chilling and smiling on his birthday. You can even hear the excitement in the videos, voices cracking, people shouting over one another. "Ain't no way that's really him!" But that peace didn't last long. In a city like New Orleans, word travels faster than any tweet. Within minutes, crowds started swelling from a few people to dozens, then hundreds, all trying to get a glimpse of YoungBoy in the flesh. And the more the crowd grew, the more the tension rose. What started as a chill walk quickly started looking like a street takeover. The cops, they were already nearby. Remember those 400 officers assigned to the area? Yeah, some of them were still patrolling, and once they heard YB's name echoing down Canal Street, they moved fast. YoungBoy was about to learn that even on your birthday, fame and freedom don't always mix. At first, it looked like a regular birthday moment, just a superstar vibing with his city. But when you're NBA YoungBoy, nothing stays regular for long. Word started spreading faster than wildfire. Fans tweeting, going live on Instagram, texting friends, "YB's on Bourbon right now." Within minutes, what started as a chill handful of supporters exploded into hundreds. Crowds spilled out of bars, people sprinted down the street, phones in the air, flashes blinding from every angle. The air shifted, excitement turned into madness. Before long, YoungBoy was completely surrounded. A dense, screaming mob of fans packed so tight that people could barely move. Folks were shoving just to get a glimpse, reaching out trying to grab him, yelling, "YB, let me get a pic!" The scene was wild. Flashes, screams, chaos. And you could feel the crowd's energy getting heavier by the second. What was supposed to be a spontaneous feel-good moment turned dangerous real quick. Nobody could move freely anymore. Fans were getting pushed against storefronts, cars were honking non-stop, and Bourbon Street was basically locked down. That's when the NOPD made their move. Remember, the city already had hundreds of cops on standby for the concert, and now they were rushing straight into the madness. In multiple clips, including Project NOLA surveillance and countless fan videos, you can see what went down. A group of 4 to 6 officers suddenly appear in the sea of people, shoving their way through, arms out, yelling commands. Within seconds, they surround YoungBoy, grabbing him by the arms, shoulders, and torso, and physically lifting him off his feet as the crowd roars in disbelief. Fans lose it. You can hear screams echoing through the footage. "Don't take him! That's YB! Let him go!" People are crying, filming, yelling his name. Total chaos. And as the officers carry him backward through the crowd, you can spot the black SUV waiting just a few feet away, lights flashing, door open, ready for a quick exit. But here's where it gets even more telling. YoungBoy doesn't fight the cops, but he doesn't look happy about it either. He's not swinging or yelling, but you can clearly see the frustration in his face, like he's torn between listening and standing his ground. This was his city, his people, his night. After 7 years of being banned from performing in Louisiana, he finally got his homecoming. And now he's being physically dragged away from the very fans he came to celebrate with. For YoungBoy, this wasn't just a crowd. It was a moment of connection he'd been missing for years. But in the eyes of the law, it was a security nightmare waiting to happen. The intervention itself only lasted a few short minutes, but those few minutes felt like a full-blown movie scene. Cops surrounded YoungBoy, guiding him out through the roaring crowd. There was no violence, no drawn weapons, no tear gas, just firm hands, tight formation, and one clear goal: get him out safe and alive. You could see how tense it was, hundreds of fans screaming, phones up, flashes bursting, but the police stayed cool-headed. No punches thrown, no one slammed to the ground, no cuffs. Just a professional extraction done with precision. They knew this situation could have turned ugly fast. And honestly, in a city like New Orleans, packed with that kind of energy, they probably prevented something serious. Minutes later, the NOPD dropped an official statement breaking everything down. They made it crystal clear. There was zero criminal activity, no charges filed, and no arrests made. This wasn't about busting YoungBoy. It was purely crowd control, done to protect both him and the hundreds of fans caught in the middle of the frenzy. From the moment fans spotted him on Canal Street to the second his SUV pulled off, the whole scene lasted less than 10 minutes. But in that short window, the world saw something powerful: the unfiltered connection between YoungBoy and his people. It wasn't about celebrity or clout. It was about real loyalty, a city seeing one of its own come home and losing control just from the emotion of it all. And here's the wild part: the chaos didn't stop the momentum. The very next night, October 20th, the second Smoothie King Center show went down exactly as scheduled. Sold out again. No delays, no cancellations. Just YoungBoy back on stage, feeding off that same raw energy that almost shut the city down the night before. Security was even tighter this time. Drones still overhead, armored trucks still in place, and police lined up deep through the French Quarter. But nothing stopped the show. The crowd came. The lights hit. And YB gave them everything. What that night really proved was deeper than the headlines. It showed that no matter how wild things get, NBA YoungBoy's bond with Louisiana runs deeper than fame. His decision to walk those streets wasn't about ego. It was a statement, a reminder that even after all the bans, all the cases, and all the headlines, he's still one of them. A Baton Rouge kid who rose from the bottom and still came back to walk among his people. The videos from that night are insane, pure electricity. The crowd's energy was this perfect storm of celebration, loyalty, and chaos all mixed together. You see fans decked out in green fits, waving flags, flashing "Never Broke Again" logos like they were part of a movement, not just a fan base. The cheers bounced off the buildings, echoing through Canal Street like the whole city had come alive for one man. But while New Orleans managed to keep things from completely exploding, thanks to that massive police presence and lightning-fast intervention, what went down that night was just the tip of the iceberg. Because trust me, this wasn't just another concert. This was part of what's being called the Tour from Hell. The MASA Tour, Make America Slime Again, was supposed to be NBA YoungBoy's victory lap. His first official headlining arena tour, a massive 45-date nationwide run produced by Live Nation alongside his Never Broke Again label. But somewhere between the flashing lights and the sold-out arenas, this tour turned into one of the wildest, most unpredictable, and downright chaotic runs hip-hop's seen in years. We're talking huge venues, packed crowds, millions in ticket sales, and prices ranging anywhere from $50 for the nosebleeds to over $500 for VIP packages that let fans get up close to their idol. The money was flowing, millions in revenue, city after city. On paper, this was YoungBoy proving his superstar status, but behind the scenes, it's been nothing short of madness. Every stop came with some kind of controversy: security nightmares, venue shutdowns, and even brawls breaking out mid-show. Fans fighting, promoters panicking, cities reconsidering permits. It's like every location had its own storm waiting to happen. And yet, through all that, the numbers don't lie. Every time the media tried to cancel him, YoungBoy came back louder. His shows kept selling out. His name kept trending. It's like the chaos didn't break his momentum, it fueled it. This tour wasn't just about performing, it became a battlefield. A statement that even with the world against him, NBA YoungBoy was still the most talked about, unpredictable, and unstoppable force in the game. And if you thought New Orleans was wild, wait until you see what happened in the next city. The chaos kicked off immediately. The second the MASA tour launched in Dallas on September 1st, the tone was set. Pure madness from day one. By the time the second stop hit Los Angeles' Crypto.com arena on September 10th, 2025, things had already spiraled way past what anyone expected. It was supposed to be a perfect night. 20,000 seats packed, the crowd roaring, the bass rattling the floor as NBA YoungBoy launched into one of his most emotional tracks, Lonely Child. But mid-song, everything flipped. One moment, fans were waving lights, the next, fists were flying. Videos from that night are pure chaos. People screaming, shoving, falling over rows of seats, and security sprinting from every direction to try and contain it. You can see multiple fights breaking out in different sections of the arena at once. Drinks flying, shoes left behind, people trying to record while ducking punches. Total mayhem. The music stopped. For a few tense minutes, YoungBoy stood on stage watching it unfold, his face serious, trying to decide whether to stop the show or let security handle it. The lights came up, guards flooded the aisles, and somehow, after 10 minutes of chaos, order was restored. Miraculously, no arrests were made, and YoungBoy jumped right back in like nothing happened. But everybody watching knew this tour wasn't going to be smooth sailing, and they were right, because just 10 days later, things took a much darker turn. On September 21st, 2025, during the Kansas City stop at the T-Mobile Center, a shocking incident erupted that had fans, venues, and officials all questioning whether this tour could even continue. Footage began circulating online, showing a violent confrontation between a teenage fan and an elderly arena employee. The video is hard to watch. The kid, clearly hyped up and aggressive, gets in the worker's face before things turn physical. The fan shoves him hard, and suddenly it's chaos all over again. People are yelling, trying to pull them apart. Security jumps in. But the damage was already done. Within hours, the clip spread everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, news outlets, you name it. The headlines were brutal. Violence erupts on NBA YoungBoy tour. Again. The incident raised serious questions about crowd control, security protocols, and the growing unpredictability of YoungBoy's shows. It wasn't just hype anymore. The chaos was becoming a pattern. And the scariest part? The Kansas City brawl wasn't even the worst thing to happen next. That Kansas City stop turned into one of the most disturbing moments of the entire MASA tour, something nobody saw coming.
But at this specific concert in Kansas City, at the T-Mobile Arena, there was an elderly man in the video that is seen being attacked by a younger guy, like a really younger guy.
Elderly man was at the show? Or was
the
he
elderly
working?
man was working at the arena. He was
security, right?
Yeah, he was security. They have a different name for him.
Reports confirmed that a 14-year-old fan, a literal teenager, had jumped on a 66-year-old usher, violently attacking him right there in the middle of the arena. Let that sink in. A kid swinging on an elderly staff member, punching, kicking, and screaming while bystanders tried to pull him off. It's the kind of footage that makes your stomach turn. The video spread across social media instantly, blowing up every timeline. Within hours, millions had seen it, and the reactions were brutal. Fans were disgusted, parents were furious, and even industry insiders started asking what was really happening at these shows. The venue's VP of Sales and Marketing, Shawnee Ross, released a statement shortly after, confirming that multiple staff members were injured that night. Some needed first aid on site, while others were rushed to the hospital for further treatment. It wasn't just chaos, it was an assault, and a wake-up call for everyone involved in the tour. The Kansas City police got involved fast. The 14-year-old was detained that same night, and the footage was turned over to prosecutors. It wasn't treated like some kids being kids scuffle. This was real violence, serious enough to raise alarms about age limits, security screenings, and the kind of volatile energy that NBA YoungBoy's concerts seem to attract. But as wild as that incident was, it wasn't even the end of the madness. It was just the beginning of a bigger storm. Because the most serious disruptions didn't come from fights or brawls, they came from full-blown concert cancellations, all tied to safety fears, and YoungBoy's highly publicized beef with Chicago rapper Lil Durk. Now, that beef ain't just music, it's got real-life weight. The tension goes all the way back to the 2020 death of King Von, a tragedy that set off a chain of street-level fallout that's still haunting hip-hop today. Every diss, every lyric, every post between YoungBoy and Durk carried real danger behind it, and cities knew it. The breaking point came on September 24, 2025, when Chicago's United Center, one of the biggest venues in the country, made a last-minute decision that shocked everyone. Just one day before YoungBoy's show, the arena canceled the concert entirely. No warning, no chance to reschedule. They cited unresolved safety risks, but everybody knew what that really meant. Chicago wasn't taking any chances. Because when you mix YoungBoy's fiery reputation with Durk's home turf, that's not just a show, that's a potential war zone. The venue's official statement hit the internet like a bombshell. They claimed they couldn't guarantee the safety of anyone in attendance, not the fans, not the staff, not even the artists, after getting intel about potential violence linked to the ongoing YoungBoy versus Lil Durk beef. Just think about that for a second. One of the biggest arenas in one of America's largest cities, the United Center in Chicago, straight up admitting they didn't believe they could keep people safe at a rap show. That's not a minor issue. That's a red flag the size of the city itself. Thousands of fans had already bought tickets. Some even lined up outside hours before doors were set to open. Then, at the very last minute, they were told to turn around and go home. No explanation, no warning. Just confusion, disappointment, and frustration boiling over in the parking lot. You could feel the tension online, too. Fans took to social media, airing out the venue, posting their travel receipts, calling the situation unfair and embarrassing. For a lot of people, this wasn't just a missed concert. It was a moment they'd been waiting years for. YoungBoy's manager, Alex Jr., wasted no time blasting the United Center in a fiery post. He accused them of folding under pressure and letting fear kill the vibe, calling it a last-minute bailout that punished fans for politics. He wasn't wrong. Some people had traveled across states just to see this one performance.
And they wanted to do the show. It got canceled abruptly by the venue. So because they didn't cancel, and usually if you see how these contracts read, is only time you don't get paid is if you don't do your deliverables, or what they call is like an act of God, like the building blow up or something, right? But no, they made it so they got paid.
Now, here's where things get wild. Even though the show got shut down, YoungBoy still got paid. Industry insiders confirmed that since the cancellation came from the venue's side, his contract guaranteed the full performance fee, along with reimbursements for his entire team's travel, lodging, and merchandise projections. So while fans were getting refunds through Ticketmaster, YoungBoy was still walking away with the bag. But the bigger issue, the momentum took a serious hit. Every new headline made the tour feel more unpredictable. Security kept getting tighter, venues more hesitant, and fans started wondering which stops might get axed next. And sure enough, things didn't calm down. By October 13th, during his show at Colonial Life Arena in South Carolina, the tension boiled over again. YoungBoy was mid-performance when fans started throwing objects toward the stage. Bottles, shirts, even sneakers. At first, he tried to brush it off, but after the third or fourth hit, you could hear the frustration in his voice as he grabbed the mic. He stopped the music cold. The crowd went quiet. And YoungBoy let them know exactly how he felt. Raw, unfiltered, and live on stage. Because one thing about him, he's not afraid to stop the show and call it like he sees it. "This a YoungBoy show! Don't play with me tonight!" That's the line fans keep replaying. The moment NBA YoungBoy had to stop everything and remind the crowd exactly whose stage they were standing on. Security moved fast, dragging the person responsible out of the arena while the entire place held its breath. For about 5 tense minutes, the lights stayed low. The music stopped, and you could feel the tension hovering over thousands of people. Then, finally, the beat dropped again. The show went on. But that single moment said it all. Control, chaos, and command. That's the energy that's defined YoungBoy's career and now his tour. Every city, every stop, it's like the universe tests him to see if he can keep it together under fire. Then came Atlanta, October 15th, 2025. State Farm Arena. The night that almost didn't happen. Right before showtime, a confrontation broke out at the VIP entrance involving YoungBoy's entourage, venue security, and local police. And this wasn't just any random crew. Streamer Aden Ross was part of that group, cameras rolling, surrounded by bodyguards and hype men. Something went left fast. Officers reportedly denied entry after a mix-up with credentials, and that sparked chaos. Shouting, pushing, a wall of security trying to separate the camps as phones recorded from every angle. You can hear fans outside screaming as the footage captures officers trying to keep things from exploding. For a moment, it looked like the whole show might get canceled on the spot. But somehow, after a few heated minutes, cooler heads prevailed. The situation de-escalated and the performance went on as planned. Still, the fallout hit hard. 2 days later, on October 17th, the rescheduled Atlanta date was officially canceled, with officials citing, once again, unresolved safety risks. That's been the story of this tour. Unstoppable hype shadowed by unpredictable chaos. And those big headlines? They're just the tip of it. Behind the viral clips and crazy fan footage, there's been a trail of smaller incidents that show how intense things have really gotten. At several stops, brawls erupted mid-performance. Wild pit fights breaking out during high-energy tracks. You can see fans throwing hands, tumbling over rails, swinging while YoungBoy keeps rapping above it all. At other venues, fans have rushed the floor, breaking through security barricades, sprinting down stairways from the upper levels just to get closer to the stage. Guards were overwhelmed, outnumbered, and struggling to hold the line. People were literally taking over empty VIP seats, refusing to move and screaming, "We in here for YB!" That level of intensity, that mix of devotion and danger, has turned the MAZA tour into something unlike anything hip-hop's seen in years. It's not just concerts anymore, it's controlled chaos, and YoungBoy's the only one who seems to know how to survive it. There's actual video proof of what's been happening. Security guards getting completely overpowered by waves of fans. You can see it clear as day. People picking up chairs, rearranging entire rows, creating their own VIP sections like they owned the arena. Staff tried to restore order, but there was no chance. The crowd was running the show. But the wildest part? It isn't just the chaos. It's the beef energy following this man everywhere he goes. Every stop on the MAZA tour carries that shadow. The tension tied to NBA YoungBoy's rivalry with Lil Durk.
And what he's doing at these shows.
It ain't just the shows. That's what me and you had this argument a long time ago. No, not me. Zaire was up here too. Mm-hmm. But yo, they love like the way Zaire, the generation after us looked at Wayne.
Zaire compared him to Tupac, and
is how they look at YoungBoy though.
I get
like he's that nigga. Like they would die for this nigga for real.
Yeah. Clearly.
At multiple shows, especially in Newark, New Jersey, fans who even mentioned Durk's name faced instant retaliation. People shouting, "Free Durk! Free Smirk!" got rushed by YoungBoy's entourage and hardcore fans within seconds. One viral clip showed a man in the crowd getting jumped by a group after yelling out Durk's nickname. Security had to sprint in and pull bodies apart before it turned into a full-blown riot. The message was loud and clear. At a YoungBoy show, you choose sides. That kind of energy has forced venues and local authorities to take extreme precautions. We're talking metal detectors at every single entrance, heavy bag checks even though there's technically a no-bag policy, and police patrols inside and outside arenas like it's a presidential event. And in cities like New Orleans, it goes even deeper. Hundreds of officers have been deployed across entire neighborhoods just to keep things from spiraling. Drones in the sky, armored vehicles in standby zones, and private security doubling up with law enforcement. Every show feels like a mission. So why keep doing it? Why take the risk? Simple. Money and momentum. Each stop on this tour brings in millions between tickets, merch, parking, and concessions. Promoters, investors, and labels like Live Nation can't just walk away. They've absorbed massive costs from at least 4 full cancellations and countless security interventions, but they keep pushing forward because every show still sells out, every headline still trends. By mid-October 2025, YoungBoy had already hit over 30 cities. Despite the fights, the arrests, the bans, and the madness, he adapted. He started pausing shows to calm crowds, talking directly to fans, even dropping small speeches about unity, loyalty, and peace. He began learning how to channel the chaos instead of running from it, turning tension into energy that fed the show, not destroyed it. And even through all of that, one thing never changed. The production value stayed elite. Pyro, lights, live band intros, military-style dancers, everything top tier. Because no matter how wild it got, he embodies everything the streets ever taught. Don't fold, don't fake, don't back down. But that level of admiration can get dangerous. Sometimes the loyalty, the love, and the obsession blur together, turning into the same kind of aggression and chaos his lyrics once described. The fans don't just listen to his pain, they act it out. Still, even with all that madness, there are moments that cut through the noise. Moments of real connection that show why YoungBoy's influence isn't just about violence or rebellion, but redemption. Throughout the MSA tour, YoungBoy has made it a point to pause his shows whenever fights break out. In multiple cities, he's stopped the music cold, grabbed the mic, and said, "We family here. Put that energy in the music, not each other." And every single time, it works. The lights come up, security resets, and the crowd takes a collective breath. Moments later, the beat drops again, and it's back to pure celebration. But the tone shifts. The energy turns from chaos to community. He's invited fans on stage to celebrate birthdays, handed out stacks of cash straight from his pockets, and surprised kids in the front rows with signed merch. There's a genuine connection that breaks through the fame. One of the tour's most powerful moments came in Atlanta, when State Representative Inga Willis and other community leaders pulled up mid-show. They presented YoungBoy with a Peace Pledge Award for his positive outreach and the impact he's had on youth culture. For a second, the stage lights dimmed, and you could see YoungBoy's eyes, glassy, emotional. He dedicated his final song that night to the kids watching from the trenches, telling them, "Don't crash, build." He tossed hoodies and sneakers into the crowd, hugged fans leaning over the barrier, and turned that arena into something that felt more like church than chaos. But to really understand the power of that moment, you have to understand what it means coming from him. Because NBA YoungBoy's story isn't clean. It's carved in mistakes, mugshots, and survival. From juvenile detention at 15 for robbery, to attempted murder charges in Baton Rouge that were later pled down to aggravated assault, to the infamous 2018 Miami hotel incident where security footage showed him dragging his then-girlfriend by her hair. Every chapter has been public, raw, and unforgiving. Then came 2021, what the FBI literally dubbed Operation Never Free Again. Agents swarmed his Los Angeles home in a high-profile chase that ended in federal firearm charges. His lawyers called the operation's name a cruel mockery of his brand, and fans agreed. To them, it looked like targeting, not justice. YoungBoy ended up on house arrest in Utah, where reports later surfaced that he'd been running a prescription drug scam from his own residence. That investigation led to new federal sentencing, 23 months for firearms violations. But here's the twist no one saw coming. After serving less than a year, NBA YoungBoy was granted a full presidential pardon by Donald Trump in May 2025. The move shocked everyone. Critics called it celebrity privilege at its worst, but his supporters saw it differently. To them, it was restorative justice, a system finally showing mercy to a black man it had spent years trying to break. And just like that, the door opened for the MSA tour to become a reality, a second chance he wasn't supposed to get. Love him or hate him, the truth is simple. NBA YoungBoy's story keeps rewriting itself, from criminal to cult icon, from chaos to comeback. And in every city he steps into, you can feel that redemption story pulsing through the crowd. Every headline, every arrest, every viral moment. It's all part of the story now. For NBA YoungBoy, the controversy isn't just noise, it's currency. It fuels his mythology, weaves itself into the bars, and becomes part of why millions of fans see him as real. The system tried to use his record to break him, but instead, it turned him into a mirror, reflecting the same struggles his fans face every day. To them, his mistakes aren't disqualifiers. They're credentials. Each charge, each fall from grace, each public meltdown becomes proof that he's living what he raps. When YoungBoy talks about paranoia, pain, betrayal, or the devil whispering in his ear while he prays for peace, it doesn't sound like a story. It sounds like survival in real time, and that's why his music hits so hard. Because behind the viral chaos and the courtroom drama, there's vulnerability. You hear it in the songs where he admits to sleepless nights, where he talks about missing his kids, or feeling trapped between fame and fear. He raps about demons like they're old friends, about trying to pray while the world waits for him to fall again. That honesty creates emotional gravity, a weight that pulls people in. His concerts stop being just performances. They turn into confessionals, into safe zones where thousands of young people can yell their trauma into the air and know someone understands it. And that's the wildest part. Amid all the chaos, YoungBoy has somehow become a spokesperson for pain, for every kid growing up in the hood, battling poverty, violence, and bad choices. As of October 2025, with the MA Say tour more than halfway through and streaming numbers up over 30% since the viral New Orleans show, NBA YoungBoy has proved something most people still can't wrap their heads around. His influence isn't just about music, it's about culture, energy, and identity. He's not just rapping to his fans, he's raising them, teaching a generation how to cope, how to vent, how to survive in a world that keeps testing them. The never broke again mindset has become more than a slogan. It's a code. It's about loyalty, resilience, and refusing to fold, no matter how bad the hand looks. Whether you see him as a victim of the system or the architect of his own chaos, one thing's clear. NBA YoungBoy has shifted hip-hop's center of gravity. He's shaping how an entire generation expresses emotion, deals with struggle, and defines authenticity. For millions of kids from the trenches, he's not a superstar, he's a reflection. Proof that you can come from nothing, stumble 1,000 times, and still stand taller every single time they try to knock you down. The critics might not get it, the industry might not understand it, but the streets? They already crowned him. And that's why no matter how many times they try to cage him, cancel him, or silence him, he just gets louder. Because NBA YoungBoy isn't just telling his story anymore, he's telling theirs. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and tap one of the videos on your screen to keep diving deeper into hip-hop's most powerful untold stories.